Today's hike was a little different to the other hikes that I've completed this year, and so I thought I'd use this as an opportunity to talk about some of the equipment that I carry to keep myself safe whilst I'm out solo hiking in the good and the bad weather, because as you can see, today delivered the rain. I'm setting off from the Old Dungeon Gill, somewhere I've hiked from before, but today I was heading towards Bowfell, which is a new summit for me to tick off the list. So, wet start to the hike for a change. So I think I'm going to start with a bit of pace this morning. I'm feeling quite energised as we get started, and this weather makes me want to just get going. It's only raining lightly, but it's forecast to rain effectively all day, so I'll see how long I can stay dry for and see how long it takes me to do this hike. Interesting thing about this route is you can see Bowfell effectively straight away. So this hill straight in front of us is effectively where we're going, to that summit that you can see disappear into the clouds, and then onwards further from there. It's going to be a cloud-filled day today. When you're out solo hiking, you've got to be extra careful because you're on your own. That means that something relatively slight going wrong could have a big impact. Getting lost, twisting an ankle badly, or another small injury could become a real problem. But I often hear people shirk off this responsibility to stay safe, either by simply playing down the real possibility of getting lost or injured, or by pushing the responsibility onto emergency services, thinking that they don't need to worry because if they get into trouble, they'll just call for help. Well, I don't think that's right. It's important to me that if I'm out hiking, I do it safely, and I need to be having fun. I could definitely push myself further if I ignored those two rules, but this is a hobby. It's not a survival situation. It's not the end of the world. It's just for fun. So if things aren't going well, it's not worth pushing them and potentially making things worse. If I get out on the trailhead and I realise I've forgotten some critical piece of kit, or if I'm out on a hike and something goes wrong, like a piece of kit breaks, or the weather is unexpectedly bad, then it might be a better idea to turn around and head back. To minimise the chance of that, I carry some things with me just in case, and I wanted to highlight a few of those items in this video as a quick first look, and then I'll do a deep dive in another video for each of these items and the value that I think they bring me. It's rained from the moment I got out of the car until now, hitting 300 metres, and it's planned to rain for the rest of the day, so I'm just getting comfortable with that idea. Not long, it's a big ascent, but it's a bit of a wet out. So we'll see how it goes. I've got my GPS on tracking me, and just keeping an eye on whether or not I should turn back. So I'm going to head to the edge of this track, which you can just see in the clouds there, and then we're heading up across this ridge all the way down, and Bowfell is over there. But given this weather and how wet I am, it's the first rain off of the year. I'm going to turn around. Okay, so we've turned back because of the weather, and it's absolutely ferocious, but my current concern is two things. There's flowing water on the track underneath me and I'm walking on stone. It's dangerous. I've got mountaineering boots on, so I'm hoping that they'll hold. These are good boots. I'm wearing my Salwas. The second thing that I'm concerned about is the temperature. It's very, very warm on the ascent. I felt good, but I always am much cooler on the descent, and I really, really don't want to have to stop and put warm kit on. So I'm going to try and keep a good pace down here as best as I can. If I need to, I will stop and put a fleece on to keep my body temperature up. It's a lot easier to stay warm than it is to get warm, but I am now worried about getting cold because of that. So I'm walking on stones like this, and they're good. It's good footing, but it's just flowing water down them, and yeah, if I slip here, I'm going to have a really bad time. I do have my satellite communicator with me. I have sent a message back to say
The weather is ferocious and I'm turning around. So I've got my tracking turned on. Everybody knows what's happening. But yeah, if I catch an injury here, that would be atrocious. That would be
So the first piece of kit that I carry is a satellite communicator. Now these aren't essential to a safe hike, but since the vast majority of the hikes I do are solo hikes, I very often go many hours without seeing another person on the trail, and I'm rarely in range of phone signal, so it's a device that helps keep me safe. I currently carry a Garmin GPS Map 66i, which you may have seen hanging off my belt a moment ago, and this device is likely overkill for a lot of people. It's very feature-rich, but a cheaper device like the InReach Mini 2 could be an affordable way of making sure you can always call for help if something goes wrong. That could either be by messaging a friend or family member, or in an emergency situation, hitting that SOS button and calling out mountain rescue.
There's certainly a lot of water coming off the hills. Nearly back down at ground level now. Feeling good, feeling warm, but feeling very, very wet.
The second thing that I carry is a water filter. If I need more water on the trip than I expected, or if something goes wrong like my water bladder is punctured, it allows me to fill up on the trail. There are some important details here about the differences between filtration and purification, and there are several types of filter available, but I'll cover those in a deep dive. Right now, I'm using a Grail GeoPress or a Grail UltraPress because whilst it's not the smallest or lightest option out there, I love its performance and convenience. These are bottles with filters attached, allowing me to use them as a standalone device in the event that my water bladder is damaged. And the last thing that I take with me is a first aid kit. Now, I'm not going to go into specifically what you should carry here, but I am going to recommend that you only carry things that you know how to use. If that means you need to take an outdoor first aid course, then that is something that I would recommend. It's also worth mentioning carrying spare equipment with you. For anything essential, I always try and have a backup. So that could be the fact that I'm carrying a water bladder as well as my Grail, with the Grail acting as a backup. It could be the fact that I'm carrying a GPS, but I've still got a map and compass in my backpack. Or if a map and compass is your primary, having a spare compass could be a good thing to do. Also think about how some kit is going to be more or less capable in different environments, so being able to swap out to an alternative when the primary just isn't performing is good too. So it's a good idea to take a look at the equipment that you consider primary and thinking about alternatives for different environments. For example, in this heavy rain, using my phone for navigation was a pain because of the touchscreen, but using a map and compass wasn't a problem at all. That all said, hiking is a great hobby, but it is a hobby. It's important to stay safe and it's important to have fun. If you go out on the trail and you're not having fun, or something like the weather is pushing the risk up past where you're comfortable, there is no shame in turning around and coming back another day.